But I want to go back to that stimulus for a moment, the stimulus checks, because that combined with all the money made available in the financial system has some people worried that this is, I don't know, it goes too far. Some big names like Obama's former economic advisor, Larry Summers, are now saying, hold on, let's take a step back. This might be creating more risks than good for the economy.
Scarlett, I'm so glad you mentioned Larry Summers. He's making a really fascinating case in an op-ed for the Washington Post. This idea that during the Obama-era recovery, remember Biden has dealt with a recession before, the Obama-era recovery in terms of fiscal stimulus was only increasing about half of the recessionary output. So essentially the recessionary hit that you saw to GDP, the fiscal government, or I should say the national government, the federal government, was pumping in about half that amount in terms of a fiscal aid package. This time, Larry Summers makes the argument that under the Biden recovery plan, in a tandem to all the other fiscal stimulus you've already seen, that number isn't just half, it's 3 times the recessionary hit that you saw. So the case he's really making is that maybe we have a little bit too much money in the system, and this might show up in simply price increases across things like groceries, across things like rent. He does, however, caveat his position by saying, well, we could see inflationary pressures, we could see those price increases, but we could also avoid them if we start to see those fiscal authorities act and pivot very quickly.
Okay, got it. Now, when it comes to those $1,400 stimulus checks, are they really doing the job that they were intended to do? Are they being used to help the economy?
Well, the whole point of those checks is to make sure people are spending it. Essentially, you go to a store, you spend some money, that store then pays their workers, and then workers, of course, go back and spend that money again. That's how you see economic churn. So the question is, what happens when people put those stimulus checks in their savings account, or worse, potentially the stock market? Things like the Reddit trades have largely been fueled by some of those stimulus payments. So if you just look at some stocks like GameStop, Atossa Therapeutics, or even silver, which is something that a lot of Redditeers have been targeting, you'll see that that stimulus money is actually being put into the stock market instead of the economy, Scarlett.
Yeah, and a lot of people wondering how productive that is. Kriti, thank you so much for joining us at the end of a long week for anyone who's been covering the market.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quicktake now for insight in an instant.